Welcome to the Rialto Marketing Podcast. Today's episode is a revenue acceleration series interview where we talk to seven-figure B2B professional service firm owners that are actively trying to grow their business and get to the next level. We talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly so that you can learn from their experience. Hi, I am Tim Fitzpatrick with Rialto Marketing, where we believe you must remove your revenue roadblocks to accelerate growth, and marketing shouldn't be difficult. I am super excited to have with me today Wayne Hunter from Avtech Solutions. Wayne, thanks for taking the time. I appreciate you being here with me.
Hey, I'm glad you asked me to be here. Our last conversation, I really enjoyed, so I'm looking forward to this.
Yes, likewise. So before we dig into the heart of the matter and you kind of share some of the things that you've learned through your journey, I want to ask you a few rapid fire questions if you're ready to jump in with both feet.
Go for it, man.
Okay. So very quickly, what do you do and how long have you been doing it?
Well, I'm an entrepreneur at heart. I run this business I've been running for 19 years. I had a business before this, ran it for 7 years and sold it. But I'm a solutions guy. I like solving problems for customers and doing the things that, they don't want to do, help them be successful. We have a mantra around here that we say, Avtech success is directly proportional to our client success.
Love it. So true, right?
Yep.
The more successful they are, the more they're going to
need,
the more they're going to want your support. So yeah, I totally agree. So in those 19 years, and frankly, even before that, you had already built and sold a business. What's the most important lesson you've learned in running a business?
For me, it's a couple of different things, but I guess the one thing I would say that I've learned the most is not expecting others to do it like me, because they're not me.
Yeah.
That's probably the biggest thing I've learned.
Have you found that when you put yourself in that mindset, it becomes much easier to delegate?
Yes, because one of the things is, for me, I'm kind of a unique. A lot of people told me what I was doing, not everybody could do, and for a long time, I didn't believe them because I'm just a poor boy from backwoods Louisiana. Okay. If I can do it, anybody can do it. Right.
Right.
But, like my wife says, I'm a perfectionist, but at the same time, I got this knack to where I could sit with clients and CX levels and have technical people sit in the same room and shake their head all at the same time. And they all understood the same thing at the same time. I thought everybody could do that. I found out over the years that's not so. So I had to really think about what if I'm hiring a technical person, if I'm hiring a client services manager, or if I'm hiring, a salesperson, I can't expect them to do what I do. So I really got to understand what's their strengths and position them to be successful. So what that means is using the two ears right here, listen twice as much as I talk.
Yeah.
Pay attention, figure out that strength, and set them in motion to be successful, because if they're successful, I'm successful.
Yeah.
And it took me a long time. It's one of these things I didn't grasp it in my early years.
Yeah.
Of course, I was so fast at trying to build a business. It was one of those things I got my own way. And sometimes you just got to get out of your own way.
Yeah. I don't usually do this, but I want to pull something out that you said, because I think it's super important.
Sure.
And it really resonates with me. You talked about like these things that you're good at. You didn't realize that like other people don't excel at those things, right? And it's so easy for us to overlook the things that we're great at and just assume that other people are equally as good at those things. And oftentimes as entrepreneurs, we've got these skills and we undervalue them because we think everybody else can do them. And that's not the case, right? The things that are in our zone of genius are not other people's zone of genius. And there's a ton of value in that. And we need to make sure that we're valuing it appropriately.
I agree. And plus, to add to that is those that recognize what their talents are and understand that everybody can't do it, and then try to figure out how do you implement what you're good at into others. And that may be two people or three
Yeah.
people, but turn it into a positive and a teaching piece. Those are the people that succeed.
Yeah.
Because if you can't get out of your own way and you're only one person and there's only 24 hours in a day, you can't do it all. So you've got to understand how to take that and put that pieces in the right place and let them thrive and build. Because what I found out on the backside was I could go do more. And I could go do more of what I really enjoyed.
Yeah.
The business development, the education. I've got the right books. I'm a speaker. I get to go speak and talk about what we do. You know, I get to do those things now. So sitting there twisting a knob all the time.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and because of that, business grows. It's funny how that works. You got to let go, get out of your own way sometimes.
You know, one of you touched on a mantra that you guys have within the business, Wayne, of, you know, that your success is directly proportional to your clients. Do you have any other kind of mantras or motivational sayings that you use to help you push through those times where things get challenging?
Well, a lot of times when, you know, all of us in business and you'll have that client that, just rubs you the wrong way, and you may rub them the wrong way. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Yeah.
You can have that. One of the things I try to tell everybody that works for me is, look, when you're frustrated, put yourself in their shoes, then think about what you're frustrated about. Because 9 times out of 10, you're going to find out you may be the reason why you're frustrated, not them.
Yeah.
You got to open your mind up. Don't work within a box, but always put yourself in our client's shoes. And what do you expect? We always go in there saying, I think about it and I catch myself sometimes. I'll get a phone call from an SDR, a sales development rep, right? They're banging the phones, giving you a call, trying to get a meeting with you.
Yeah.
I got SDRs doing the same thing. And when I get there, like, in the back of your mind, you're going, why you call me? I got busy and all this. And then I turn around and go, you know what? You got a really hard job. To me, that's one of the people who's got the really hardest job is calling somebody like me to try and get, 5 minutes of my day, which I don't have 5 minutes.
Yeah.
But you got to do that. So you always got to put yourself in that other person. Because what I find, if you do that, you learn. So in our business, it's all about learning. Always be striving to learn and be better.
One of the things that you shared with me in the pre-interview, Wayne, was that, about 2 years ago, you started marketing consistently. I'd love for you to just kind of take us back to that time, and why you decided to make that shift, what you're doing with marketing, and just what's happened with your business since.
It really goes, it's funny, it really ties to this whole premise you have of Revenue Accelerator. It really does.
Yeah.
I'm just like everybody else. I had relationships, clients that's followed me for years, referrals. And so it's word of mouth referral business. We grow a business that way. And the interesting part about it is, when you start a business, getting past that first million is that first kind of like beating your head against the wall. Am I going to get past it? I get past it. And then it's the 2 million mark and you get past that. Well, getting to that 5 million, that's tough.
Mm-hmm.
And depending on how big your business is with this, but typically if you're a small business, we're only 12 people. Okay.
Yeah.
Getting that 5 million, word of mouth and all that, it wasn't enough because you could only do so much. There's all this and you make any phone calls. So I made a conscious decision is I've got to change what I'm doing. And my job, if I want, as a visionary of the companies, my job is to get other people to know about my people, not me, but my people. And so it can bring that in. How you going to do that? Well, that's old school marketing. I tried marketing several times, spent a lot of money. was like, ah, didn't work. You know what I learned? It wasn't because it didn't work. I wasn't consistent long enough. Marketing is when you invest in it, it's going to take a minimum of 6 months to even remotely resemble any type of payout. But after that 6 months and you stay consistent, that's going to do it. So I knew if I want to grow my business, I had to change what I was doing. And so I'd been chased by this group that wanted me to come and do this and that. And I said, you know what? I'm going to commit. 100% commit, go do it, no matter what. And I'm going to commit to it for a year. End of story. Set up money aside and went and did it. And it followed in. 6 months into it, I started seeing pieces happen. And by that end, that year, not only did I have all the money I spent, but X factors above it.
Yeah.
I found business. And the funny part is when you do that marketing, I found over $800,000 of business in my existing customers I did not know about. And I talked to them all the time, but I didn't talk to them right.
Yeah.
And the marketing helped me understand how to uncover opportunity that I wasn't seeing. So, the old dog, new tricks.
Yeah.
You can teach them if they're willing to learn.
There is so much value in what you just shared there. And I always love to hear this from people other than marketers, because it means a whole lot more when it comes from somebody like you.
And I'm not a marketer.
But I talk about this all the time. Marketing is about consistency over time. We have to be patient and we have to think long term. But the challenge is so many of us as humans, we're wired to think short term. But you think short term with marketing, it's never going to work. So you initially made the shift to invest in marketing because you had just reached that ceiling where like word of mouth is not going to help us get to where we want to go, right. Which is a common trigger for people to look at investing in marketing. You started doing it consistently. You had realistic expectations. At 6 months, it doesn't mean that you were getting a huge return on investment, but you were starting to see the breadcrumbs letting you know, hey, we're starting to get some traction here. This is headed in the right direction. What types of marketing tactics are you using within your business? Because I know you've got a sales team. What are you doing from a marketing standpoint to help their efforts?
We actually do. We started off and we still do. We do it every week. We're old school mailing. We got little gimmicks that we do, but we send these mailers out with, have a document in there, put in there. One of them is called the aspirin campaign. Yeah. We said, as your current IT provider giving you a headache, here's 2 bare aspirin on Aptec. Yeah. And we put them in there. And what I found, everybody's email is just crazy, right? Yeah. Doing all this. So you got to think outside the box a little bit about how you're going to get past that gatekeeper. So when we send something, we always put something in it because the gatekeeper feels something in it. They're going, oh, they're not going to throw that away because I might be throwing something away that the owner wants or the CEO wants or the CFO wants. Yeah. So that's one thing. And also we make sure our stuff stands out in a stack. We may send out a lime green envelope or a bright yellow or bright orange, so make it stand out and where it comes in there. So it's more about that and being consistent. And when I say consistent, I just had a client call me last week, and I just hired my chief security officer. He was here with me in my office, and I was getting him online, and I got a phone call, and I wasn't expecting it, but it was from a owner of an underwriting company calling me about doing a compliance assessment, and he was holding the actual aspirin letter I sent him 3 years ago. And I sent him another sitting duck one last year. I sent him another one this year, closer look one. So he's been getting these mailers from us, but the one he referenced was the one I sent him 3 years ago. Yeah. So just because you send it doesn't mean they haven't looked. If you didn't answer the phone when you called them, because we send the mailer out on a Wednesday, and then my SDR calls on them 3 times the following week, Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday, 3 touches. on every contact we send out. So we spend per SDR minimum 100 mailers every week. We send out.
Got it. So for your SDR, so you're sending 100 mailers out each week for them. That gives them their work for the following week.
Exactly. They call out on them, they follow one, and their job is to get an appointment. That's their sole job, to get an appointment on my calendar.
Got it. So so you're doing that to help multi-pronged approach, right? It's not just direct mail. I love the fact that you touch on, look, just because people aren't responding doesn't mean they're not taking notice. It's just
exactly
the pain's not there at that point. But when the pain was there, he kept your mailing because it just
because it was unique,
stuck with them, right?
That's right.
But why are they going to respond when they don't have the pain or the challenge at that point?
Well,
it doesn't mean now. Had you not continued to follow up,
yeah,
who knows? Maybe not. You stayed in front until the pain became so great that they were ready to take action.
Exactly.
You also touched on speaking. You're doing a lot of speaking to generate leads as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, one of the things I started doing is what we call celebrity marketing, and that's getting yourself out there. Now, there's some people don't like to get on stage and speak. There's other things you can do besides speaking. Like I've written 2 books. I'm working on a 3rd book.
Yeah.
And actually doing talking with a ghostwriter right now, potentially doing a biography as a 4th book. But it's one of the things, getting yourself out there, getting the story out about who you are, what you do. And finally, it can be simple things is, get you a little presentation you put together. Just, talks. You don't have to talk about your company. It could be about something you're passionate about, from an industry's perspective. Like I'm passionate about cybersecurity and compliance, right? So I just put something down and I go to your, my mind just went blank. Local councils, getting with them. Any industries that you know of that are folks that you work with, you got clients that have certain type of, they put on, like I got a CPA client, they put on CPE courses and they have other come in. Well, they have me come speak to that. I don't charge them for it. Get out there in front of them and start seeing it. I spoke at a banking conference, where I present. There's opportunities. You just look for it and start putting it out there and going. And then all of a sudden I had a banking association from Alabama, which I don't know anybody there, never done anything there, but they called me to ask me to be a guest speaker there. And they asked
how often do you speak?
I probably have, at a minimum, I do probably 4 a year.
Okay.
At a minimum. And then there's other goes on, but I also got my own webinar series I put on every month. I do podcasts on this, various different ones. And so it's just getting yourself out there.
Yeah. Getting the word out.
Right.
And staying.
It's not selling. It's do it from an educational standpoint. That's a critical point there. If you're always out there pitching sales, you're selling in your pitch.
Yeah.
That turns everybody off. Best way to get sales is have a presentation that just teaches them. And all of a sudden that sets you as the trusted resource. Mm-hmm. You're the trusted advisor. They'll come to you and the sales happen. That's the other thing I learned from doing this.
Do you, with your speaking, do you offer any kind of, do you have any kind of ask at the end where you're giving them free resources to get on your mailing list? Do you have any kind of call to action at the end?
Right. Typically what I do, because there's some of these, especially if you're doing like a CPE type of thing, you can't have a sales pitch. But at the end of it, I always say, any of the materials I have, I share. You can go to my website, go right here to my resource page. You can download all these resources, and that's the hook.
Got it.
So you got to be conscious of where you're presenting, what they want you to present, and what is that community look like, if it's a pitch or not a pitch. Now, some you go in, and at the end you got that hook, and you do that pitch. But also there's others where it's educational only. You still make it, but it's putting them to your resource page for that educational content. Yeah. Now they go to your page, they look at everything else you're doing, and that draws them in. So you got to make sure you have those places to go time to.
So does your resources page have an opt-in?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Oh,
So,
absolutely.
I love that, because it's, look, of course, you're speaking to add value, um, but one of the things that I always recommend people do is, like, you gotta have some way to continue to build that relationship at all, if at all possible. And I love that because most people want the resources from the presentation. That's a simple, easy hook. They're
Yep.
going to your website, they give you their name, email, they get the resources. Now you're nurturing them through email. They may then be getting invites to your webinar series. The other one that I've seen work really well when you can't, and saying pitch, I don't know, I always hate to say that, but it's when you can't, have a really super salesy call to action, is having a, like, for an event, having a follow-up webinar like 2 days after the event,
Mhm.
something like that, where it's, hey, if you liked this, I'm doing a special event, 2 days from now on X, that's going to dig deeper into what we talked about today. Go here to sign up, right? And then people go there to sign up. Then they're out of somebody else's platform on yours, and you have a little bit more
Well, for
latitude.
example, that's very true, and you can do those things if you do it in the right manner. I just got through doing one for a CPA society, and it was their annual conference, and I'm presenting and on is your business prepared? And really, he's talking about preparing for compliance and the different rules, and just giving it. And I gave him that content, but at the end, there was questions, and people started asking, "Hey, I'm spending this on this, and I'm doing this, or I can't get this. Can you do that for me?" And since it come in that form of a question,
Yes.
I was able to answer. Now, yes, I can do this. Well, how much would it cost? It would cost you this. Well, how do we get that? And it goes in there. So that's the result of taking that approach of when you're educating and you've been put up there by the people who's putting on the event as the authority. That's the reason why you're there. So you already got that endorsement, right? As soon as you do the education, I found if I do it education with no pitch, just give them the resources, I get more that way than if I do the pitch.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I've
I see
taken
that.
pitches or call to action pitches out of my presentations
Yeah.
for that purpose, and that's worked extremely well.
But it's one of those things where it's a low key call to action,
Yeah,
right? Hey, if you want the resources, go here, right?
exactly.
And I've actually even done it with people where I'm like, hey, if you want the resources, go here. Hey, by the way, when you get the resources, you're going to go on our email list. If all you want are the resources, you can just unsubscribe. But if you stay on the list, here's what's going to happen, right? And just set the expectation. I think people appreciate that. But speaking in professional services works, and it works really well. It is a longer term play, I think, but frankly, depending on where you're speaking and how many people you're speaking to, you can get immediate business from it.
Oh yeah.
So I love the fact that you're doing it, and it's something that I certainly encourage people to do. But there's a lot of people that have some fear around that, and if you can get over the fear and just start doing it, so many benefits to be gained
I
from
had
it.
someone teach me something. It was because I'd never gone to any kind of speaker training or anything like that. And until here about 6 months ago, I got offered to go to one for free. And so I went, and this guy he was something else. And I asked him the question. I said, when I go to get up on stage, all of a sudden I get that apprehension. I get that knot in my throat. My mouth gets dry. And and that until I get someone to communicate with me, it's hard to breathe. Whatever he says, that's good. That's good. And I'm
Yeah.
like, well, what do you mean that's good? He goes, that's your body telling you it's game time
Right.
because it matters to you. If you get up on the stage and that don't happen, that means you don't believe in what you're up there for.
Yeah.
And when he told me that, totally changed the game now. When I get up there, yeah, I have that apprehension, but nothing like I used to before. Because now I know, oh, I'm ready. Let's go
Yeah.
and do it. So part of that's that, if you've never been to a speaker, to someone that coaches that stuff, I'd highly encourage that because there's a lot of people that don't get on stage and speak because they got that stage fright, but that's actually not stage fright. That's your body telling you, game on, get
Yeah.
ready, let's go.
Yeah. It's okay. It means you're paying attention, right? You're not asleep
Exactly.
at the
Yeah.
wheel.
Yeah.
Um, Wayne, the other things you shared with me in our pre-interview was your sales development reps. And consistency there has been a challenge. Um, can you describe what that challenge a little bit more, and some of the things that you've done to try to fix it?
Well, what I was doing, and of course, the culture today is a little different than it's been. But I was really going after interns and looking at intern while I was getting kids out of college doing this. There, and it was when you're doing that and you're coming into it, and the training you need to do, and what you're coming into it, that SDR is a tough job. Don't
Yeah.
let nobody fool you, because you're banging the phones. Think about it. Put yourself there. Think about someone's calling you, you're answering the phone, and how you react to those folks. That's the people I'm talking about that's working for you,
Yeah.
calling on your behalf out there. So looking at that, I started having to change my perspective a little bit about, okay, you got to find the people with the mentality that they're not afraid of that.
Yeah.
Two, you can't just put someone into SDR role with no path. Okay. So what we do is, obviously, we got some certain personality trait tools we use and quizzing we do to find the people that's in the right, are they an introvert? You don't want them being an SDR role. They need to be more of an extrovert. They got to be able to engage. Are they patient? Are they courteous? Are they, do they have a competitive nature? Hopefully they do. You want them to be competitive, because it's about getting that win.
Yeah.
If they're not competitive, then getting the win or not doesn't really do anything for them. So that's, so you got to first look at what's the makeup of that person, and what's the right traits in a person. So, and it's not trying to be negative or positive on anybody, but you don't want to put somebody who don't have the right traits for it in that job, because they're not going to be successful. And all you're doing is hurting them.
Yeah.
That's wrong. You want to put somebody there and make them successful. So first, make sure they got the chops for it, for doing that. Then it's the education, the time, the communication. Because even though they do it and you give them a script, you're still representing you. So I understand. I talk to my SDRs every day in the morning, go in, hey, what is it on calls? We can help you. We got them recorded. We look at it. How do we help? And get in there, be involved with it. And that makes a big difference in doing that. So looking at folks that's trying to make, and I look at it from a marketing and sales standpoint, you'd be surprised how many people with a marketing background want to do sales. And then there's another type of marketing wants to do the marketing, but both of them work very closely together.
Yes.
So getting that trait and that background, and communications is the other background I use. And surprisingly, psychology. Someone in a psychology degree is very good in that. So it's really breaking down is what's the trait and the people to get there. And once I learned that and doing it, that's what changed. You just can't take anybody who says, oh, I'm doing this, and put them there. That
Yeah.
doesn't work.
So identifying the best traits
Yeah.
that SDRs need to have has helped you find and select the right people.
Mhm.
But then once you found and selected those people, giving them a clear path to be successful has helped you keep them and help them be successful, right?
Yeah. So like I'm taking this one right now, we brought her in, and she's marketing background degree. She was doing just her first little job was data entry. So she hadn't really been doing SDR calls, but she had the traits that I was looking for. So then putting her into that, and then putting her through a mentoring program on how to do it, how to make the calls, how to evaluate, have them set goals. Now, when we sat down and it says, look, in this marketing area, here's your routes that you have for growth. You can grow into a marketing from SDR, you can grow into a marketing coordinator, and then all the way up to a marketing manager, or you can go into sales, whether it's inside sales or outside sales, or you can go into what's called a client success manager, where you're managing accounts. So they got 3 paths with us. They got 3 paths. And what I've learned out of there, typically someone with that background is going to grow into one of those 3 paths. So
Got it.
now they know, hey, I got a path I got to go. Now they focus on what they do best. And when they're focused on that, then you can see, are they best there?
Yeah.
Go this. And then we set metrics. Once you hit these metrics, then we'll see what the next step is. And part of their job is in making that transition is also helping find out who replaces them.
Yeah.
So they got responsibility in feeding back to that. What I found is if you get people involved in not only path for them to help themselves, but part of helping themselves is helping someone else, then it breeds a culture. And I'm big about that. Is we all help, we play hard together, we work hard together. Every 6 months, I bring my whole company and their immediate families together in one location, and we have 2 work days and then 2 family days every 6 months. And it's that we breed that culture. And for me, that's what works for me. Now it might not work for somebody else, but find your culture, find your niche and breed that. Set a ground that they can learn it, and it breeds it. It takes over itself, and you don't have to do it all the time. And that's what changed it for me.
Yeah. Are your SDRs, are they setting appointments for you? Do you have somebody else that's doing sales appointments? What does that look like?
No, SDRs are the ones that sets the appointments on net new calls, any net new logos. Their job is net new. Now, I have a customer success manager that manages existing accounts,
Mm-hmm.
and I support her, or my CSO or my service manager supports the CSM if they need higher level architecture discussions, whatever, coming into that. But that's our 2 forms. And then once we close a deal, a new account, then that new account, once it's onboarded, rolls over to a CSM, and they maintain that account and grow that account. So that's where it feeds into. So a SDR may be working on a campaign for net new account, that would go to me or another sales rep, or they may be working on a campaign that's going at what's called a cross sell or upsell campaign on existing accounts. So now they're booking it on the CSM's calendar.
Got it. So they're working.
We got that orchestrated. We got whole workflow orchestration and everything for that.
Got it. So your SDRs are working new business and existing clients for new business.
Yeah.
Yeah. Got it. I love that. You know, it's interesting as you were talking about the right personality, right? And finding the right people. I'm thinking like, gosh, all these, thinking, I don't know if this is outside the box or not, but some of these people that are knocking door to door selling like painting, house painting, pest control, right? Man, I would think some of those people would be fantastic SDRs because they're just so used to it.
They can, because they got that people and they don't. And if I'm sorry, you knock somebody's door and you get a door shut in your face, and that don't stop, you can go in the next door.
Right.
I want that person because they can handle that rejection. Or also what they could be good at is overcoming objections.
Yeah.
Right. And having that, but providing that script to go and do it. But yes, those people, I bet their traits would fit very close to what I look for.
Yeah. It's fascinating. This has been a great conversation, Wayne. I really appreciate it. What are your aspirations for the future? What's next?
Well, it's just growing the company. Like I said, I had my first company and I sold it. And then I tried to mini retire. And that's back in my 40s. And my wife come to me one day and says, I don't care what you do. I don't care if you become a guide at the lake where we have our place at the lake. I don't care, whatever you're going to do, but you got to get out from under my house. You got to get out of my feet, out of my house, out from under my feet, and go find something to do. You're driving me crazy. So that's the reason I started this business 19 years ago. And I'll continue to do this. I love it too much. It's fun to me because I get to learn every day. That's the reason I like this business. Not only the IT business, but being an entrepreneur and being able to make people successful. So my goal is to continue to grow this business, educate others. And at some point when I just don't want to be that active, my goal is to have it where it rolls to my employees. It becomes an employee-owned business.
I love it. So Knowing what you know now, is there anything you do differently?
Yeah, I would have started marketing 19 years ago. And I joke about that, but I literally, if I could have took and understood what I was doing wrong in marketing all the years back when I was spending money and the amount of money I spent and wasted just because I didn't stay consistent with it, would have changed. I'd be way further ahead than where I am now.
Yeah.
And I guess that's the biggest thing is if nothing else anybody takes away from this, when you hear marketing, you better think consistency.
Yeah.
Over time. That's the only way it works. Yeah, it costs money, but you get it back if you're consistent and always evaluating the focus, your target of that marketing. Just marketing alone doesn't do it, but you got to have a really defined target and how you go about that target.
Yeah.
Then stay consistent to it. It pays.
And just so people know, did I pay you to say that?
No.
Okay.
But I'll take money.
I just want to make it clear. I did not pay Wayne to say that. But thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, no problem.
So, Wayne, I really appreciate it. I have enjoyed chatting with you. I know people are going to get a ton of value from what we talked about today. Those of you that are watching and listening, I appreciate you as well. Wayne, where can people learn more about you?
The easiest thing is just go to our website, avtechsolutions.com. And from there, you can find it. You can see what we're doing. You can access my books, what our company is about. And if there's any way I can help you, just reach out.
Cool. I love it. So we'll make sure that is in the show notes, but it's avtechsolutions.com. So go check it out. I have enjoyed connecting with Wayne twice now. So thank you. We've been talking all about what Wayne has been doing to grow his company. If you want to know which of the 9 revenue roadblocks are slowing down your growth, you can do that over at revenueroadblockscorecard.com. You can also always connect with us over at our website at rialtomarketing.com. Be happy to chat with you. So thank you. Till next time, take care.